During the 70s, the Voyager tests set out on an unrivaled experience into space. For over 45 years, these really assembled and prepared tests have outfitted novel records, and they had been the first man-made objects to prevail. Interstellar Space Explorer 1 especially has flabbergasted NASA since its trip into the furthest reaches of room. A few million kilometers from Earth, the test unexpectedly got a strange signal. Before we investigate this and other energizing disclosures of Explorer 1, we might want to welcome you to make a commitment to our channel. We welcome any criticism that fits the point and adds genuine incentive for our guests. On the off chance that you're one of our endorsers, we will continually reward your commitment with a heart and will stick your commitment to the top where it will be understood first by everybody. Simply ensure you have currently bought in, like the video, and notice each toward the start of your remark. Radio waves and interstellar space. In 2012, Voyager 1 entered interstellar space. This is the circle of space that is outside the compelling scope of our planetary group as well as the successful scopes of the nearest stars. To this day, interstellar space is loaded with secrets. We know little of what continues in this apparently unfilled region. Since Explorer 1 was worked during the 70s, it's a basic specialized gadget. Explorer 1 and its sister test, Explorer 2, were outfitted with straightforward estimating gadgets, cameras, and radio wave receivers. The cameras were turned off a couple of years back to save power. However, the radio wave receivers are as yet active. And it was here that something generally peculiar happened recently. For quite a while, it hushed up in the space of Explorer 1. But then the test sent sounds to Earth that stirred specialists a good way off of 23 billion kilometers from Earth. A weak, ongoing murmur suddenly revealed itself. According to researchers, the murmur was so faint that it should have been actually amplified to make it discernible by any means. After the news that people had gotten the main sounds from interstellar space, researchers likewise promptly gave an explanation. Probably, the powerless waves start from gases in the interstellar medium, which comprises primarily of hydrogen and plasma. There are unsettling influences that are probably still a consequence of the impact of the solar winds. Even this way out in space, it is not yet clear what different information Explorer 1 and 2 will send in the coming months. The two tests will probably keep on flying through space for some years. However, NASA anticipates that radio contact with the tests will sever this year or 1 year from now at the most recent. This will check the conclusion of an important time period that has endured over 45 years and has furnished people with exceptional experiences into space. After all, the Explorer tests were the first to fully examine and photo the outer planets, as well as give impressions of the Kuiper belt and remote of the planetary group. Where does the planetary group end? Specialists have for some time been unable to address the subject of where our planetary group actually ends and interstellar space begins. Our star constantly sends floods of plasma into space through its solar winds, shaping around half of the globe in which the whole star framework is installed. Later, spending the main numerous long periods of their flight concentrating on the planets Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, the tests flew increasingly far into regions that had never been examined. On their long excursion, these tests were further and are presented to incredible burdens and strains. But the innovation worked entirely such a long time. Today, specialists attribute this reality to the straightforward yet effective way the two tests were fabricated. The technical contrast between the Explorer tests and current tests compares generally to that between an MP3 player and a tape recorder or a cell phone with a dial telephone. Obviously, analysts trust that the innovation could keep going adequately long for us on Earth to at long last get information from the finish of the planetary group for the first time. Those assumptions were to be satisfied a couple of years after Explorer 1 abandoned the last planets. The test radioed information from quickly evolving magnetic fields, having until recently never seen or on the other hand measured where and how our sun's catchment closes. Scientists didn't have any idea where layers of the heliosphere Explorer 1 was genuinely found. Scientifically, astronomers were entering unknown domain. With this challenge, the fervor on Earth was exceptional, and every sign, every movement of the test's measuring gadgets was gotten with incredible energy. The finish of the solar circle is by all accounts dominated by flares. You can envision it as surging winds and fields that sometimes cross over and become weaker and stronger in places. Scientists really might measure a brutal sun flare weeks after the fact at the edge of the planetary group. It's the way lengthy it took the plasma streams to travel the 10 to 15 billion kilometers to the furthest limit of the solar system. Plasma streams travel through space at a speed of around 1,000 kilometers per second. This makes them a lot slower than light. To arrive at Earth, a plasma stream from the Sun typically takes just 1 to 2 days. Explorer gave information from interesting streams of particles and solar winds and was able to get radio waves from flares a long way from the Sun for the first time. At the actual edge of the heliosphere, the Sun's plasma mists, which are still relatively warm and less dense, they experience cooler and denser interstellar plasma. The drag shapes the heliosphere and packs it on the furthest side. Explorer measurements showed a lot denser streams not long before the test entered interstellar space. Without a doubt, our solar system isn't static in space or firmly suspended in plasma. Rather, the Sun and its planets travel through the interstellar medium at a speed of around 84,000 kilometers per hour. Through Explorer measurements at the edge of the heliosphere, these numbers could be confirmed interestingly. So, in a way, the nearby planet group was flying alongside the small test. It was an incredible miracle to recognize how the test's flight behavior changed when it entered interstellar space. The mystery of interstellar space. We know very little such a long way about the huge space among stars and star systems. Between the absolute finish of the planetary group, the heliopause, and the nearest star, there are vacant spaces with an expansion of 40 trillion kilometers. Then we may be at our next star neighbor Alpha Centauri. From there, it's again trillions of kilometers to the next star and so on. To date, we definitely realize that interstellar space is never vacant. Rather, it contains gases, debris, light beams going through space, and the puzzling dark matter. The interstellar medium might be known as the favorable place of the universe or space itself. As late as the start of the 20th century, scientists thought the space where our universe is found was genuinely unfilled, and that the stars and planets were firmly suspended within it. Just through crafted by Albert Einstein and some of his counterparts can we comprehend that the entire universe is profoundly movable and all objects are on a consistent excursion and liable to change. Interstellar space and its fundamental structures conceivably harbor previously unknown forms of matter, as well as designs and fibers along which the known forms of the universe move. Where are the Explorer tests headed? Every Explorer test is outfitted with plutonium batteries that have astoundingly long lifetimes but are still not endless. Some of the measuring gadgets and the cameras of the tests were turned off at the most recent. Later, the passage of the heliopause altogether to save valuable power. Correspondence with the tests works considerably over this huge distance through relatively normal radio waves. Meanwhile, the signal requires around 23 hours to reach Earth. As stated before, radio contact with Explorer 1 will sever at some point during the year. Then the test and its sister test, which has also been in interstellar space for some time, will keep on flying. As for how far the test will travel, it's unconditional. The test can still fly for hundreds of years or centuries through the universe. According to current calculations, Explorer 1 will come to the star AC plus 793888 in the star grouping of Ursa Minor in 38,000 years. Since the distance is possibly 17 light-years, the test will most likely not be caught by the star system but will keep on flying until it is drawn in by a gravitational net. It could be possible that Explorer could enter a star system, and there it would interact further due to the gravitational attraction. Ways include the test wrecking in a star, being hit by a space rock, or being found by an extraterrestrial progress. In this case, both Explorer tests have messages of our reality on board. Explorer 1 and 2 were equipped with a golden record. Each of the records contains music pieces, pictures of everyday life scenes, noises, and information about Earth and the human species stored so that extraterrestrials can access the data. There's even an instruction manual with straightforward pictograms. Specialists speculate that the golden records have a durability of several billion years. So it is very possible that the messages will be received by someone at some point. Whether we humans still exist at that time and whether a recipient civilization would be able to answer our message, we can't know today. After over 45 years, the Explorer missions are slowly reaching a conclusion. The tests continue their journey, but we cannot follow this anymore. Scientists at NASA are pleased with the fantastic achievement but also have some parting pain. Many professionals, specialists, and other experts involved in the project have spent close to half their lives accompanying the Explorer missions. But it's also clear that space offers so many more thrilling objections that astrophysicists and NASA specialists will surely not get bored. We are at the end of this journey with the Explorer rocket for now, and thank you for observing. Now we would like to hear from you in the comments. Inform us of your thoughts concerning the puzzling radio waves Explorer got in interstellar space. Do you think we humans will examine the interstellar medium in the predictable future? And what might we someday perhaps find there? Share your thoughts and ideas with us, and make sure to mention your subscription if you have subscribed and to like the video. We'll see you next time.